This is Lego set 75346 Pirate Snub Fighter. This set came out in May 2023 and retired at the end of 2024, and all of the RRP prices will be shown on the screen now. This set comes with 285 pieces and 2 minifigures, those being both exclusive to this set. These 2 minifigures are a Snub Fighter pilot and Vane. As you can see, with Mando and Grogu being on the bottom left corner of the box, showing that it's a Mandalorian set, but specifically it's from Mandalorian Season 3. On the back of the box it shows the 2 play features being 2 stud shooters on the front and a small storage compartment in the back. It also gives you a better angle of the ship than what they show at the front of the box. On the bottom right of the back of the box it shows the 2 figures with their weapons and the storage crate that's in the back of the ship with a thermal detonator inside. On the top of the box it includes a photo of the Vane minifigure in a 1:1 scale. And final, on the side of the box there is a small bit of the stripe carrying through from the front with a small photo of the Snub Fighter. Opening up the box you'll find 2 numbered bags, 1 sticker sheet with 6 stickers on, and an instruction manual. Now that I've got the set all built, taking a look at the actual build itself, I'm actually very pleasantly surprised by it. It's a lot better than I thought it would be. I didn't think the build would be bad, but I didn't think it would be as interesting as it actually is. For £30 you get quite a few play features and a decent display model, I'd say. But starting from the front, going to the back, there's 2 stickers at the front, which they look good, nothing really special about them, and 2 cannons which look very nice, but instead of them just being stationary they've stuck the 2 stud shooters underneath the wings, which is very nice because they're actually hidden. They're not just big and bulky on the top like some of the Jedi Starfighters, which I really like what they've done here. You've got a nice bit of greebling along the front with some of the ingot pieces and the roller skate piece, which they use quite a bit around the set, especially in the back. They use it twice more. Moving into the middle of the set with the cockpit, you've got a relatively new piece which only came in 4 sets in this color, trans black. I've heard some people say that they dislike the color because it's being used so much instead of just trans clear, but I think it works well here because it's like tinted windows, and especially as these guys are pirates, you don't want to get seen by just everyone, so it kind of makes sense here at least. Opening up the windshield piece, you'll see that there's a nice seat with only 2 studs showing so that you can place the figure there but without their legs getting stuck, so that it's easier for people to take it out. And there's a pretty good control panel print. It's very generic, it's been in so many sets now, but it's still very nice, so it's not bad. And 2 little control handles being made by using the bucket handle piece. But there's also a surprise play feature which they don't even show on the box, which is very nice. If you see right next to the control panel there's this little lump, and if you pinch onto that and grab it, pull it off, and it opens up to a little storage compartment, which is very nice. And it's so that you can hide the little blaster that the pilot uses and the extra stud shooter piece. Adds a bit more value to the set without you even knowing when you're buying it, so I'm happy they kind of didn't include that on the box. And looking at both sides on the edge of the cockpit, there is some nice tiling which sort of creates steps up to the cockpit, which is pretty good because I could see that being good for display or play. And the last thing I have to say about the cockpit is on the windshield piece there's these 2 stickers, which they were definitely the hardest stickers to do in the set, and they're the ones that I would say should have been prints, because I mean they print the printed parts onto the Speed Champions canopies, so why can't they do it here? One thing I want to point out is I love how flush the front of the engines are with the back of the cockpit area. I don't know what to really call it, but it looks so nice, I think, and it just got to be mentioned. Now getting to the back of the ship, it's the most bulky piece for definite, and you'd think it's because it's to make it look like the engine's there, but it's actually for a storage compartment, and it's the one that gets shown on the box, so it's obvious and you know it's there. But I think it's a very nice one. It's got a little box with a thermal detonator inside, and it's the one they're also looking at on the back of the box. There's a nice bit of greebling on the sides with that roller skate piece showing up again, and the round pin holder piece, and this greebling is mirrored on the other side of the chunky storage compartment, so it's just the same on each side, no different looks. Probably my favorite part of the ship though is the engines at the back. I just love how continuous the cylinder parts are, and it just makes the engines look really, really good. The other stickers, which I would argue would have made the set a lot more enjoyable to build if they were printed, would be these stickers on the wing pieces, because they were hard stickers to do. They weren't as hard as the canopy piece, but they would have been a lot nicer. I'm sure some people would find them one of the hardest, because I definitely struggled. And then at the very back you've got the actual exhaust pieces, and basically the only pieces of colour on the ship, which is kind of normal for Star Wars ships. A lot of them are very grey and just plain, so having a bit of orange at the back is quite nice. But I like how they just all look the same and they just look really good. And there is a bit of white showing, which usually I would think is bad, but as it's an engine, kind of like some of the fumes or the smoke, so it kind of makes sense and looks quite nice to add a bit more colour, even if it's just white. And taking a look at the underside, at first glance I would have said that it's actually pretty good, but then I realised there's some green part showing and then a tiny little bit of blue showing if you look from a certain angle. So I kind of just wish that wasn't showing, because maybe if this was a building or something that would be stationary, just sitting on the floor, it would be fine. But as this is a spaceship, it's going to be in the air. You're going to see the underneath. So maybe if they could just take a bit more care in that, it would be a lot better. But the whole build itself, I think, is really good. For £30, I think it's very nice. The front looks so just detailed and very nicely tiled off. There's a nice balance of tiled off and stud showing. Sometimes if you get too much of each, it just looks odd and it doesn't look Lego enough, or it looks too much like Lego, so that's good. Now that I've taken a look at the build, we're going to take a look at the figures now. And first, I'm definitely going to look at the figure that I like the most, and that is the Snub Fighter pilot. And starting from the top, I want to say about the beautiful helmet he has. I just love all of the pilot helmets they give the Star Wars figures, because the amount of printing they put on there, it just makes them look so good and complete. And this figure basically has nothing bad about him. The potential only bad thing is that he shares the same face print with Vane, but I'll talk about that later. The head print isn't bad though, it's just very kind of plain. His expression is very normal, but I like all of this. Well, they're supposed to look like spikes. They don't look very much like spikes, but you can kind of tell that there's a bit of a point to them. And then there's even a little bit of back head printing, which is nice, but doesn't really add much. And maybe that would have been better used as a second facial expression so that you could make them both look different. At the front of his torso, it looks like there's a little hierarchy badge sort of showing your position as a pilot, I would say. And then it's got a nice pattern that shows through all of the torso and the legs, and even the back of the torso. It's a lot more prominent. And there's a little bit of a sort of cloth or bandana, I don't really know what to say, in an olive green colour, and a couple badges on it, which looks nice. It's got some nice printing that continues down to the hips, but mine is a bit sort of shows the yellow, so it doesn't look as good. But I'm sure if you got one that was properly printed right, it would look a lot nicer. And the legs, they look good. Nice toe printing, but yeah, he's a very nice figure, but nothing insane. He's not a main character or anything, but I think he's definitely the best figure in the set. Now I'm going to take a look at Vane. The figure is definitely not bad, and he's not my favourite figure because he's a bad figure. It's just the one kind of glaring issue, I would say. And we'll start from the top again because that's where this issue is. And it's this sort of head, top of the head piece. And it's got this nice black bandana piece, which is good. And it has these little white bits of printing, which are shown on a photo that I found. But it's more of on the very top. I couldn't find many photos, but I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be the top of his head. And if you can clearly see that the actual head color piece is not the same color as the top of this piece. And it kind of just makes it look bad, and I think they definitely should have tried to get the color correction a bit better. But then again, we've seen it countless times. Lego just doesn't seem to care about changing that. I'm not really sure. I've seen that they've maybe gotten better at putting white on black, which would be so good, because that's the worst thing of it. When they put white on black or black on white or a color like that, it looks terrible. But I've seen that they might have improved that a bit, so I'm hopeful. But this set is from 2023, so I mean, they wouldn't have changed it from then. Talking about the head print, it is the exact same as the Snub Fighter pilot, as I said earlier, but I mean, it doesn't look bad. It's not a bad head print. It's just a bit like, could have at least given it another expression, but it just seems a bit lazy. But all of the torso and legs printing looks beautiful, I think. It looks lovely. There's tons of detail and loads of little bits, like the jewelry on him, his belt, and then even on the back it's got some really nice little symbols and markings, and like he's covered up a hole on his jacket, and the continuous printing looks so good. So he's a very good figure, just not my favourite of the set for quite a glaring issue. So what do I think of the set as a whole? I think, well, let's take a look at the positives. It's a pretty clean build. It's not looking unfinished or bad. It's tiled off, but also got studs showing, which is a nice ratio there. And then the price, it isn't outrageously bad. I don't see it being any cheaper than it is. It could always be cheaper, but people are always going to ask things to be cheaper. And then there is at least one perfect figure that you could definitely say is perfect. I think the Snub Fighter pilot figure. There's nothing better they could do. The helmet looks beautiful. Maybe the face could have a different expression, but I don't mind that because you've seen them reuse that in other sets. One I know very recently is the sail barge. That face gets reused for the same species, which works very well. So I don't mind that as much. Just for this set, it's a bit weird as they've both got the same expression. And on to the very few negatives that I think this set has, is the very hard to place stickers, like on the windshield and on the wings. There's 4 stickers in total there, and I think the windshield ones are a no-brainer. They have to be printed, especially as the Speed Champions line can do it, so why can't Star Wars? But another one would be the discolored headpiece, head wrap, different piece for Vane. That should definitely be the same color, I'd say, as his head, and it's a bit darker. I don't know how well the photos show it, but it's definitely not the right color. But the positives definitely outweigh the negatives here, and this set is a good set. It's very underrated, I think, as it's just a ship that did not appear very much, and to be honest, if they didn't make this set, people wouldn't have asked for it. But I'm glad they did, because it's cute, it's nice, it's cheap, and it gives you really nice figures, so I'm happy I got it, and I would definitely recommend it to someone who said they wanted it. I would say it's definitely good value, and if you want it, definitely get it. And I thought just one thing to end the video off. This is my very first YouTube video with voice lines, so I just wanted to say if it's not perfect, that's why, and I definitely hope to get better at it. And please don't judge it too much, but if you have any ideas on how I can make my videos better, please comment them, because I'd definitely be very up for taking constructive criticism. So thank you for watching, and you'll see a new review out soon.